Could Nick Saban, Tommy Tuberville actually work together along with the President of the United States to save college sports? That's what we're talking about in this episode of Couz's Corner. We're going to share a news article that talks about just that, and I'll give you my thoughts on whether it's actually feasible or not. And we'll have that conversation right after this word from one of our channel sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. Today, though, we're talking about a story that encompasses all of college sports because it obviously impacts West Virginia and the Big 12. And we're talking about the attempt by Nick Saban and U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, of course, former Auburn coach, former Texas Tech coach, former Cincinnati coach. If you're a college football fan, you know who I'm talking about. Their efforts to save college sports. That's what we're talking about in this episode. Their efforts to fix NIL, their efforts to fix the transfer portal, because they feel like the path that we're currently going down is not sustainable. And they are reaching out and trying to get help from the current president of the United States, President Trump. Now, this is not a political video, so don't start throwing stuff at your screen. Don't start unsubscribing. I'm not giving you my opinion on President Trump. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just sharing some news with you. This is news. I actually even thought about putting President Trump on the thumbnail, and I thought, man, if I do that, I don't want to deal with the fallout from that. So I just avoided it altogether, even though it probably would have got me more clicks, to be honest. But anyway, let's just get on with the story. In an article in Yellowhammer, I want to thank Jay Cook for sharing this with me over on X. But an article in Yellowhammer News about this says Tommy Tuberville, Trump and Saban could join forces to tackle NIL reform, hopes to talk tonight at UA. While Trump was in Alabama, Tuberville and Saban were planning to meet. Matter of fact, Nick Saban introduced him, but Tuberville was also there, and they were going to all try to have a conversation about how to fix college sports and their concerns about it. Anyway, it says, as President Donald Trump prepares to deliver a historic commencement address tonight at the University of Alabama, U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville says the moment may also serve as a huge opportunity to confront what he calls the, quote, tailspin of college athletics. The modern era of college athletics has brought sweeping changes, but none more disruptive than the emergence of name, image, and likeness deals and the widespread use of the NCAA transfer portal. Especially after the latest college football season, it has become a widely held belief that something needs to be done to create guardrails and get things back under control. At this point, it's likely going to require government intervention to end the chaos, and U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville has been a key player as lawmakers consider the topic on Capitol Hill. Tuberville joined Tide 100.9 on Wednesday with Ryan Fowler and revealed that he has spoken with Trump about the issue and reports that the president understands the severity of the situation and the risk of losing non-revenue sports if college athletics becomes fully professionalized. Now, I want to stop for a minute there and talk about that piece. I've talked about that on this show multiple times. If you know, the people filing these lawsuits, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are people who played non-revenue sports. I don't know if they realize that they could actually be hurting the future of those same sports that got them through college or that they were able to participate in. Because some of those sports, if it continues to cost these athletic departments and these universities tens of millions of dollars, they might end up having to drop. Some of them may end up having to drop sports at some point, having to drop programs. And you think they're going to drop football? Not happening. You think they're going to drop men's basketball? Not happening. They're likely not going to drop women's basketball or even baseball. What are they going to drop? They're going to drop the ones that don't make revenue. They're going to drop gymnastics or track and field or cross country or golf or tennis or weightlifting or wrestling or rifle or you name it, lacrosse, whatever the sport that doesn't make money. Those are the ones that are in danger here, including women's sports, right? Women's sports could even get dropped at some point. So I don't think the people filing these lawsuits, I don't know that them and their attorneys have thought through the ramifications of these lawsuits. Or maybe they did and they think it's worth it. Or maybe I'm wrong and that's not in jeopardy here. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, I feel like non-revenue sports could be in danger here, and Senator Tuberville agrees with that. Let's keep going. Here's a quote from Senator Tuberville. President Trump wants to help on this NIL. Tuberville said while talking about NIL in the presence of Trump in Tuscaloosa this week for graduation. Tuberville also said both he and Trump want to discuss the issue with former Alabama head coach Nick Saban, who retired last year in no small part due to the changes in the sport. All three of Trump, Saban, and Tuberville are going to be at the special commencement ceremony for UA graduates taking place on Thursday evening at Coleman Coliseum. I don't know how Trump could solve the NIL issue with an executive order, but hopefully we can sit down and talk some insights of what Coach Saban thinks about it, what I think about it, come up with some kind of agreement, because right now it's in a tailspin, end quote. If the tailspin, as Tuberville describes the current state, is going to be solved, it likely is going to take voices like both his and Saban's, as well as potentially the highest levels of government, in order to get something done which works for all parties, especially the players and coaches. Both Tuberville and Saban, former rivals in college football, have emerged in recent years as credible voices calling for urgent reform to NIL policy from different vantage points. In 2023, Tuberville co-sponsored a bipartisan bill with former U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, proposing a national framework to regulate NIL activity, rein in booster involvement, and curb the chaos of the transfer portal. Meanwhile, in 24, Saban, who retired last year after 5 decades in coaching, became an outspoken advocate for restoring structure to college athletics, even in testimony before Congress. Let's go ahead and skip that next paragraph. Saban says all the things he believed in no longer exist. Talks about he and Tuberville trying to work together. It says Tuberville also spoke on with Fowler on the radio yesterday about Trump's aggressiveness in attempting to save women's sports and Title IX through executive order, and the senator believes all of the issues are connected when it comes to finding a solution. Now, I'm going to leave a link to this interview with Ryan Fowler in the description box, as well as a link to this article if you want to go back and read it again. It says, and I quote, if we continue, or Tuberville quotes, if we continue this path, there's not going to be any money left. Tuberville said of NIL swallowing up non-revenue sports, many of them being women's. We're going in the wrong direction, and that's one reason President Trump wants to address this. He understands the significance of what's happening. And if we don't do something soon, we will lose a lot of the non-revenue sports, and most of that includes women's sports. Now, that's the article from that I wanted to share with you. Again, I'll leave a link to it in the description box. Before I get into my thoughts on the topic, I want to give a quick shout out to one of my other sponsors here on the channel, and that is Elite Scuba and Adventures. They're located in Northern Virginia. Check them out at elitescubaadventures.com, and that's also, you can find them at Elite Scuba Adventures at all their social platforms. But to learn a little bit more about them, they do diving lessons. They do diving trips. They do PADI Discover diving. They do open water certification. They do advanced diver and specialty courses, including dive master certification, and they have bundle and save deals. They give discounts to first responders and vets. Also, if you use Couz code 25 at checkout, you get a 5% discount, even if you're not a vet or a first responder. Couz, C-O-U-Z code, C-O-U-Z, CODE 25 at checkout gets you a 5% discount. You can take part in their summer altitude diving at Tigert Lake right here in the great state of West Virginia. You can go on their trip to Key West, Florida. You can do their annual diving trip to Thailand. Just a lot of amazing things going on there at Elite Scuba and Adventures. And again, they also do lessons and diving classes there at their location in Northern Virginia. So check them out again at elitescubaadventures.com and check them out on all their social media platforms. And I want to give them a shout out and thanks for supporting what I do here on the channel. Go check them out today. Now let's get back to the show. My thoughts on this. The reason this article came out is because there have been other articles talking about how Trump may try to address the NIL situation through an executive order. But here's the thing, and Tuberville pointed this out in the interview, executive orders are only good through that president's term, right? And So it may only be a temporary Band-Aid. And I don't think a temporary Band-Aid is what we need right now. We need congressional action. They need congressional action. Trump may do an executive order. I read another article that said he has his people looking into it to see what they can do. Maybe they don't do anything. Maybe he's just giving lip service to Senator Tuberville and Coach Saban because he likes them and he's trying to throw them a bone. I don't know. But nonetheless, I think it's limited on what he can do. Because even if he does something through executive order, it's only temporary. It's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole here. And they need permanent fixes. They need congressional action. But I do appreciate Coach or Senator Tuberville and Coach Saban's attempts here to try to get something done. Now, the thought, though, is if what they want to get done happens, it'll likely be primarily favoring the schools. So then you might get lawsuits and everything else come from it, from student athletes or former student athletes, who knows. But nonetheless, at least they're trying something. And, will President Trump do an executive order? Will he push for the Senate and House to do something about this permanently? It's yet to be determined. My guess is Trump is going to be focused on bigger things. He's going to be focused on, national relationships around the world. He's going to be focused on his economic plans and all these other things. I'm sure NIL is not number one on his priority list, but doesn't mean he can't take it on and try something. And it doesn't mean he can't do an executive order to at least give us a temporary Band-Aid for this situation. But again, if the House settlement gets ratified, maybe that'll also be a Band-Aid, and then that'll lead into some congressional action, because the Congress will then see, hey, the NCAA is doing something here. They're at least making an effort to improve things. They're doing rev sharing. Now we can step up, because one of the things Congress has been telling the NCAA is, we need to see you act and see you try to fix the problem yourself before we're going to step in and help you. Well, it looks like the NCAA is at least trying to do that now, more so than they have in the past. So we'll see. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think the efforts of Saban and Tuberville, do you think their efforts will be able to help at all in the salvage of college sports and put some guardrails around NIL and the transfer portal and these other things that most of us college sports fans are really disgruntled with? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Give a quick shout out to my VIP channel members of this episode. They are Big E7375, Cheers Beers Mountaineers, Daryl Fletcher, James Green, and Deb K. Thank you all for your support. If you want to be a channel member, hit the join button below or hit the join button on my channel homepage if you don't see one on your device. It'll explain both levels and what comes with it. Both levels get the random member shout-outs. Also, a shout-out to my other sponsor, Appalachia Digital. They created my brand new website, vsportschat.com. Did an excellent job. If you need a new website, or if you want to help your current site get found more on Google, go check them out, appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know I sent you. And I want to thank them for supporting what I do here. Obviously, another shout out to Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner Attorneys at Law, your personal injury and medical malpractice attorneys in West Virginia. Please hit the thumbs up button on this video if you liked it. Please subscribe to the channel. Please turn on your notifications, and please share it with your family and friends. Thanks for tuning in. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. God bless, and Q Country Roads.